Recording and did not.
Recording in progress.
If anybody has their microphone on, if you wouldn't mind just turning it off to reduce any feedback or so from the recording, with the exception of Bridget and Gabby. We need to hear you guys. So, once again, welcome. Beyond the Prompt, proving the value of creative in the age of AI. Something that has been on the minds of probably everyone on this call and then some, not just with respects to our creative product, what that means to us and to our clients, but just AI in general and how it may affect or it may impact our industry moving forward. So, I'm happy to have Bridget and Gabrielle, who also goes by Gabby, here today from Adler Creative Consulting. The women that actually introduced me to both of them are also on the call. So thank you, Mary Kate and Noreen. It's been wonderful to get to know both of them. Very bright. Very creative, I think, very forward thinking. And we're going to hear, some of their just kind of ideas and thoughts on what's going on today and how you can increase that value proposition, particularly from a creative perspective and what you do for your clients. So I'm going to allow them to talk for a moment about Adler and then get into the presentation. And then at the end, we'll reserve some time from Q&A for Q&A. A few of you sent me some questions. I'll keep those up as well. We can look at those when we get to the end of the presentation. But I'm going to now turn it over to both of you. And feel free, whichever one of you wants to start, go right ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. And thank you for having us here today. We really appreciate the opportunity and we're really excited to be here to talk to all of you. We've heard and we know, and we've now experienced in the first 5 minutes just how connected and supportive this group is. So feel free to use the chat. If you hear anything that, you have a question in the chat, or if anybody wants to answer questions in the chat, feel free to use the chat as we go. And if you don't know everybody here, feel free to drop, your agency info into the chat as well so that you can connect with somebody that you might not already know. Okay, so who are we? So my name is Bridget Kelly, and this is Gabrielle Fulgenetti. She is my partner in all things creative, and we are the co-founders of Adler Creative Consulting. So you might be asking yourself, Adler, what is that? What does that mean? Well, Gabby and I first met at the Savannah College of Art and Design while we were working on our master's degree, and we spent more time than I would like to admit in a building called Adler Hall. And so when we decided to put our heads together to do this, we couldn't think of a better name to kind of give this business to tie back to everything that we went through down there in SCAD and everything that we learned. So we wanted to start this company because we saw a growing need for fractional creative director leadership. Across the industry at large. And we started to realize that a full-time hire doesn't always make sense for an agency. And we thought we could put our heads together and, build this thing. We also really just like spending time together. So it's really nice to be able to work with a friend, somebody that you really trust and just be able to do stuff like this. So in addition to our, fractional creative direction, we also offer strategy workshop planning and execution, as well as organizational consulting. And we feel like our combined skills, everything that we've done separately, together, everything we're doing with Adler, everything we're doing outside Adler, has given us this really unique perspective on AI as it relates to creative work. And something I should have mentioned is that we are both creatives. I have a copy background, and Gabby has an art background, but we both work as creative directors. So the other thing I will say is we started our careers before AI was a thing. We have lived through that adoption of AI, and we're going to continue to forge on just like the rest of you. So we've really seen it from all different perspectives and directions.
I love the meme that's happening right now, like on social media. It's like, how did you write a paper, a 10-page paper without ChatGPT? And it's like, girlfriend, I didn't even read the book and I wrote the 10-page paper. So that's sort of where we kind of came
Yes.
through and kind of gives us a little bit of perspective.
That's great. I love that. Oh gosh. Yeah, those videos are Kind of getting under my skin a little bit, if I'm being honest. Okay, so let's talk about our goals for today, though. Before we jump in, we want to set some expectations and just give you an overview of what we hope that you will walk away with. Our goal is that as soon as we hang up here, you can start implementing some of these things, right away. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to identify where humans can create the most value in an AI enabled world. And, I feel like AI can do a lot, but Gabby and I really believe that the human touch is really, really important. And the better that we understand that, the better that we can articulate that, we're going to be able to talk more confidently with our clients in order to sell ourselves and why they want our agency, your agency. So the second thing we're going to do is we want to strengthen the way you're talking to your clients, right? We want to give you some tools to help you have stronger conversations and thus getting more business for yourselves. And then the last thing we're going to do, we have some practical ways that you can actually reposition your agency from just being makers of things to actually being and really feeling and standing in the ground of being strategic business partners.
The one thing that I do just want to talk about is that I don't want to I don't want to like lose sight that the fact that AI can bring up a lot of emotional feelings. It really is like a heated debate out there. But today we're not going to discuss or debate whether AI is good or bad. We're not going to dig into the ethics. We're not going to talk about the like legalities of any of that. That's for another day and probably with someone much smarter than I am. But today we're going to talk about how AI can be a valuable partner for not only your creative department, but also your agency, and how agencies like you can be a little bit more valuable by having AI in our back pocket, but highlighting the human touch that Bridget just talked about. So let's dig into this. I have a QR code up on the screen. You can utilize your phone. I know you all have your phone next to you. So if you scan the QR code, you're going to get our first question of the day, and we'll use the Slido throughout this presentation to help gauge some polls, some feedback. But today's first question is, what client question are you hearing most often? Can't we just do this ourselves? Can AI do this? Why does this take so long? Why does this cost so much? And can we reduce the scope? So I'm gonna actually pull up and let you guys see where we are. Hopefully you guys can see this. You guys can see this little inset screen,
Yeah.
right? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we got it.
All right, we're seeing lots of can AI do this?
Mhm.
Still got some in there. There we go.
Yeah, with a close second on can we do this ourselves, which probably makes sense because that means can I just use AI, right? It's very
So I think, and we'll keep this going, and we can actually come back to that in a second. But I think at the end of the day, it's that these questions really have nothing to do with creative, and they have everything to do with value. It also really doesn't even start with AI. It actually didn't even start here. Bridget and I really feel that this has been going on for much longer than AI has been around for, and we like to call it the Great Creative Misunderstanding. And really, what that is was that creative tactics were never the deliverable that we were providing our clients. We would always say, if our parents, if people off the street ask us what we do for a living, we would say, well, we create campaigns, we create ads, we create social posts. I made a video, I did a presentation. Those are all very tactical answers to our big problem that we were solving for our clients. So, really, the creative department of the future just needs to change their thinking from answering that question with a tactical response to a more strategic answer. So we're providing our clients more clarity, better strategy, differentiation between their competitors, customer understanding, dig deep into that customer. Who are they? What else are they buying? And then finally, what other business solutions can we offer our client? But this also just begs the question, what are our clients actually paying for then? If we're providing them these very untangible items, and before we were kind of being able to quantify what we're providing them. And that is the big picture is they are paying for evidence, literally just evidence that a human thought about something and touched it. And really it's the evidence of human thinking. So, in order for us to uncover where humans are going to shine and how we can have AI as a partner, Bridget and I developed the Creative Value Pyramid. And this pyramid is really going to help us level up our own creative departments and help us identify where we can bring more value to our clients. So, the first level is the production level, it's the base of our pyramid. This is where AI is going to shine. It's building stuff. The work becomes faster, cheaper, and increasingly automated. We just heard from you that can we do this ourselves? Can AI do this? This is exactly the level where we bring AI in as a partner to help increase your efficiency. But if that's really the only thing that your agency sells, the client is going to go right back to asking those same questions. So we need to level up at some point to increase the human touch. And that's the second level, the synthesis. That's because production really doesn't happen without somebody making sense of a problem. We need somebody with a human brain to be able to synthesize a lot of data and, before determine what really matters. And I think a really good example of that is before Bridget ever writes a headline, she is looking for what is the problem that we're solving for. She is looking at market research, competitive analysis, stakeholder feedback. She never just starts that process by just writing down headline examples. But I'd argue even further that understanding the problem isn't really enough in this day and age because, again, you could technically plug into ChatGPT and have them help us synthesize some of this data. So we need to level up even further, and that's where judgment comes in. Judgment is, really figuring out why great decisions matter and why and how organizations can act on them. So this is where great creative directors and leaders can shine because they have experience that they have that experience that's needed to help their clients choose work that will bring and move their bottom line at the end of the day. Even if you have one client agreement, though, and every single person in this room has a client that either has a boss or has several other stakeholders that they need to get all in alignment. And I don't know of any AI chatbot that can do that yet. So that brings us to our last part of the pyramid, which is the leadership. So we really feel like that you cannot get ChatGPT to facilitate a workshop. You can't get Claude to read the room and notice when you have a client who's maybe on the fence about a really risky idea. You need someone with a human brain and that can use that EQ to help guide your clients. So let's put it all together. At the bottom, we've utilized the most amount of AI, and it can help us be more efficient. But as we climb the pyramid, notice that the less use of AI there is, and how little deliverables we're producing, but how much more valuable the humans are. So, with that in mind, how do we move our value of our agency higher up onto the pyramid? And this is where the tools that we've created for you come into play. We've come up with 5 strategic repositioning tools to enable your agency today to be able to utilize them and put them into practice relatively easily. They are sell outcomes, not outputs, become a creative facilitator, turn expertise into a product, come with your recommendation, and use AI as a partner. Now, they all seem really simple, but some of them aren't as easy as they seem. So, the first one is sell outcomes, not outputs. We want to shift the conversation from what you'll make to the impact you create. It really requires your entire agency to be in lockstep. We can change how we're talking about deliverables internally, and by doing that, externally, your clients are going to see the value that you create for them. You're no longer just creating a campaign, but an increased awareness for a new product. You're no longer just designing and developing a new website, but you're clarifying the position to a product line. And you're no longer just doing social assets, you're improving adoption faster. Next up, I'll pass it over to Bridget.
Okay, we're going to talk about becoming a creative facilitator. I would argue that it is everybody's job at an agency to be a creative facilitator. I don't think that just falls into the creative department. Creative conversations happen in all different parts of the business with all different levels of people, both in your agency and also with the clients that you are working with. So being a creative facilitator, it's not about running a meeting, right? It's about moving people from uncertainty to alignment. And Gabby's already touched on this. Like the big theme here is how important that human touch is, right? So we know that AI can generate 100 ideas in seconds. I'm sure we all use it every day. We need a quick idea. Great, give me 100. But then what? Like what do you do? Like, the AI can't tell you what the best idea is. The AI can't tell you the one that they should definitely present to the client, because guess what? The AI doesn't know your clients. They don't know your business. They don't know the things that make your clients tick, or the things that are going to make them mad, or the way that your clients actually need that information presented. And it just goes to show how important the humans are in the room. Yes, the AI can help us, but it really is the humans that are going to be driving those types of decisions. So, you know, previously you might have said, let's do a brainstorm. Okay, we're stuck. We're just going to do a brainstorm, right? And instead, you have to reframe that to, we're going to lead a workshop that's going to actually turn ideas into decisions and actions. Before, if you run into an issue, it's like, okay, well, let's just I'll get all the feedback and, figure it out. But that's only part of it, right? Gathering that feedback is only a piece of it. You got to take that feedback and then you have to facilitate the alignment on the other side to make sure that you're making decisions that everybody feels good about, right? And then we've all gotten the feedback, whatever department you're in, the client didn't like the idea. It's like, okay, well, that's fine. But we have to understand why it didn't resonate before we change direction, right? You can't just get feedback and say they didn't like it, let's start over. As a creative facilitator, you're really going to dig in to get to the root of the problem and the feedback that you're getting.
One other thing to add is especially in that last bucket, the client didn't like the idea. I've been in the room when we find out after we dug a little further about why the client didn't like an idea, that it really had something to do with a previous experience. Maybe they just had a bad day, and maybe representing a similar idea with a tiny tweak was able to get you over the hump. It really may, if you push and dig a little bit further with that human touch, it's often you'll find something that's much smaller than we need to blow this idea up and start over.
Okay, so next on the list is turning your expertise into a product. So if your best thinking isn't packaged, clients will assume it's free. So we feel like this is one of the easier ways to move up that pyramid, right? And it doesn't actually require any more work. It's work that you are already doing when you walk away from, your brief, or when you get the scope, but it's all about how you present the thinking that you're doing. So, you get asked, can you do some social posts? It's like, well, yeah. Can you write emails? Uh-huh. Can you build a landing page? Yeah, yes, of course you can do all that. But what you want to do is package everything that's going to go into that, right? So, and Gabby like already kind of spelled this out. Like, I don't just start writing headlines when I get a brief, right? Like, I'm like, okay, what's the strategy? Are there voice guidelines for social? You can go ahead and say, listen, this is an editorial calendar that you're going to need, and it's going to actually help your social posts perform better, right? And these are all things that you can outline in your scope and the way that you present your packages to your clients to help give you more value. Same thing goes for like web, social, all of these things. There's more than just the output that you're giving. It's all about the thinking behind it, right? And you can kind of start to see how that starts to add value and how you can move up, the pyramid.
Next up is come with a recommendation. And it sounds it's kind of silly to come to a presentation and have a recommendation in the back of your mind. But oftentimes, clients are looking for us to be confident in the work that we present. So, I have been in a meeting where we present 10 logos, and maybe three of them are really my favorite. But as long as I can come up with a reason why one works better over another, or how we feel that one might move the needle for their goals better than the other, clients tend to respect and want our opinions. We really need to utilize the planning and synthesization of all of our data to make that recommendation on how to do things. And I think also, we can look at this very tactical, like my example of the logo, or we can even kind of take a step back and say, how can we do this from a much more higher level strategic point of view? Meaning, we have brand planning coming up. It is already June 30th. I don't know how that's possible, first and foremost, but it is going to come fast and furious. Brand planning is going to start. How can you utilize making a recommendation to your client in your brand planning process? Ooh, that's a mouthful. You can kind of go off of what their goals are for last year, how did they perform? Utilize that data to provide them a recommendation as you build out all of that for next year. So some of our examples here are, which option do you like best is usually what we would say. But we can reframe that to say, based off your goals, this is the direction we'd advise. We can make any of these work. While each direction has strengths, and usually, we want to highlight that each thing that we provided them, is a working option. This one gives you the greatest opportunity to achieve your goals and constantly going back to the KPIs that they provided us at the beginning of the project.
So I think something else that is super, super helpful if you are walking into a meeting where you have to present a bunch of ideas or a bunch of different campaigns, something that I found to be helpful in selling in the work is either after each idea or on a summary slide, I always add a why we like it section. And I literally put it in writing, and we always tie it back to the strategy, right? And talk about how it's helping the strategy work hard. And I think when clients can see that on a page, you're going to get alignment probably on on the idea that you actually want to make. It's a really simple tool. We've said it 1,000 times. They are paying for your opinion. So I like to just put my opinion in writing, right? And tell them why I like it. So when that deck, when that presentation, when those conversations go away and I have no control over who's looking at the deck, what's happening, they know what my opinion is and what my POV is on something.
And then last up, we have use AI as a partner. So I think the most important thing is to be transparent about where we're utilizing AI, but also telling them why it creates efficiency and where you can spend the time to do other things. So you'll notice that the table for this slide is a little bit different. We're utilizing AI to gather, organize, summarize research, identify trends, but we're spending more time creating the strategy, refining the insight. We're utilizing AI to create proof of concepts, so to generate tons of options for, a new campaign image, things that we couldn't find via stock. I know, there's probably some creatives on this call who have spent way too long digging through Getty Images, trying to find the exact right image for a concept that you have. And really now all we have to do is prompt Firefly, prompt Midjourney to give us that, and that makes us faster. It can help us do resizes, do adaptations and copy. And really, it allows us more time as creatives to collaborate, to align to brand standards, to create, give overall creative judgment. And that should really allow that creative director to spend more time drilling down. Is this aligning to the strategy? Is this the right tone? Does this lighting feel right? And those are just some examples. Finally, we utilize AI to refine storytelling and anticipate some objections. We can have AI, ChatGPT, any of those kind of act as our clients before we even go into a client call. And then maybe if we find something and dig into an insight that we think that there's going to be an objection there, we can create workshops that, come up with stronger recommendations for our clients overall. Again, adding value, getting us more business, and overall feeling like a benefit and a service to our clients.
Okay, so we really feel that as long as humans are giving us feedback, and by humans, I mean clients, then humans are probably going to be the ones that are taking the lead on solving those problems. So we wanted to share some real life examples from our careers where AI was not going to help us. There's like not a chance. So the first example, I am in Uruguay working on a Pepto-Bismol commercial. And if you know anything about P&G, those lead times can be anywhere from a year to 18 months, given all the testing and everything that has to happen. So if you're on set on a shoot and you're ready to go, like things are locked up and nailed down, and you're just, you're rolling film. So we had to send some choreography over to a client who wasn't super involved, was letting their team take the lead, and we got some late night 11 o'clock our time feedback that they didn't like the choreography. They did not like the choreography for an entire commercial that was going to be dancing, right? For 30 seconds. So at this point, the choreographer's gone. Our talent is gone, nor are they contracted, right, to come in any earlier. And we had to put our heads together and solve it. And you can see like how many different people it took to actually get this solved. So first, you had to have our account person talking to the client, right? And reassuring them that like, we got it, we hear you, we understand you, this is what we're gonna do. My partner at the time, she and I were like, well, we took dance for 15 years. Let's start dancing. And so we started making up choreography because it's like, what else are we going to do, right? Like, we don't have the professionals here, but whatever. I've been on a stage. I twirled baton on the 50-yard line. We'll figure it out. We just have to put something together to get us through tomorrow when the choreographer can come back in. The other thing we had to do, we had to get our production company involved because the changes in choreography was going to change all the lighting rehearsal we had just done, right? All the camera blocking that we had just done. And then we had to teach the talent the new dance the next day. AI, not helpful. Computer, not helpful. This took everybody's experience, right? And their different career paths that they took coming together to solve a problem that needed to be solved immediately. And it was going to be a very expensive problem if it wasn't. So that's just one story that sticks out in my head of when I've been in a situation where it's like, okay, AI is here, but wasn't going to be able to help anybody there, right?
Slightly different, but Bridget and I worked on the Galderma piece of business while we were working probably 6 months to a year ago. And we were able to, the client came to us and said, hey, we'd love to do a social campaign. We don't know what we want. Really loose guidelines, not too much as far as overall goals, except for to increase reach. They really had a couple things in mind as far as they wanted to give away, I think it was $50 worth of Disport cash. It really wasn't tangible. Bridget and I had done a ton of ideating. We used ChatGPT. We used, everything under the sun. And one of Bridget's Instagram handles is Resting Bridget Face. And we were talking midway through our creative, collaboration, and we realized that Resting Disport Face actually sounded really nice. And it aligned to what we were trying to do. And we had several other ideas. We had a deck full of probably five, six overall arching campaigns. And we really wanted to sell them in on resting Disport face. One, I think it's a funny little play. We thought it was a funny play on the idea that your face is kind of frozen when you get this done. This is, a competitor to Botox if you're unfamiliar with Disport. So you sort of have this face that never really changes, but it's still able to allow you to move ever so slightly. So it's a little bit better than Botox. Um, Anyway, we go into the client presentation, and one of our main clients loves us. One of our other main clients doesn't really love us. The other client just wants to talk about our son's band camp. It's all good. Bridget gets in there. We start talking. We sell them on resting Disport face, and now they are running this continuously past the $50 Disport, offer that they originally had done. And I think the main thing here is that, we can use ChatGPT, we can use Claude to come up with a million ideas, but it wasn't until we really aligned that to what they were looking for and a little bit of play and knowing and having that leadership and experience about social and how social works. This would never work in just a clinical HCP brochure to a dermatologist. This really only works in social, and knowing that and having that experience was something that Bridget and I, tapped upon when we were presenting to the client. So we are actually right on track for time. So
I'm shocked.
I'm shocked too. So I'd love to ask you the second question of the day, which is the first question on the slide. What can AI accelerate in your agency today, knowing all the information that we just sort of gave you? You can scan the QR code. It is the same. So if you just refresh your page on your phone, it'll ask you the same question. 3 people are typing.
And what I love about this one is if like 10 people say social posts, that word will get bigger. So this is a really cool tool that you all should take back to, your presentations. It's called Slido, right, Gab?
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can create a free account. You don't need to pay for just the basics. Yeah.
Revenue. We like revenue.
Cool.
Copy editing. Yeah, one of my favorite things to use AI for is actually a lot of times writers get handed like PDFs that don't have live text and we have to edit things. And I was like, oh, I could just, as long as it's okay with your clients, don't break the rules, do put it in the right type of AI. We should say that. But I would put it into our internal AI and go, make this live text. And all of a sudden, I saved myself probably an hour and a half of typing. So if you are a writer or somebody who gets handed documents all the time that you can't edit, that's probably my favorite way to use AI functionally.
We have lots of different ideas here.
Yeah,
Great.
this is great.
Awesome. Okay, and then on the flip side of this, I'm going to ask you one more question. What still requires humans in your agency based off of, what we just talked about? How do you think we can utilize humans more often? And that will come up in here as well. Authenticity. Yes, professional judgment. Great.
Discernment. Yep.
Love that. Empathy. Yeah, I mean, Claude can't present projects to a client yet. Awesome. Caring.
It's a great list.
Yeah, this is awesome. Get some more coming. And if anybody has something that they feel like deserves more of a conversation, please put it in the chat. Bridget, I'm assuming you can see the chat.
I can.
Okay.
I can see everything.
Yeah. These are great. All right. Okay. So just as we kind of wrap up and round everything out today, I think something to chew on as you go back to your own agency today is like, is there something that you might be undercharging for based off of the human touch that we talked about? Is there something you're giving away for free that the clients don't even know about that you're doing in the background? Figure out how, as you think about that, figure out if you can package that up to another tactic or into a packaged item, because I think that that's often something that we lose sight of, is that we just do what we've always done and we really over deliver to our clients most often. But make sure that they're paying for all of your good thinking and all of the great strategic, creative brain cells that you utilize every day.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot today, and one thing we want to make sure that you take away is that the future isn't really about humans versus AI. It's really about what happens when you combine the strengths of both. And we hope that you've realized all the strengths that you actually have, the things that you can do that AI absolutely can't. So we have a new formula for you, right? It's creative strategic leadership. That's where we lead the thinking, right? When you combine that with human judgment, and that's when we're making the calls that matter, and then you add in AI efficiency, and that just helps us move faster and maybe a little bit smarter. That's the future agency value, and that's what your clients are going to be paying for. And that is the goal of moving up in that pyramid, so that you can make more revenue, which was my favorite word, by the way, in the word cloud. So, okay.
We have exactly 10 minutes left. I'm so proud of us for staying on track. Like,
Yeah.
kudos to
Yes.
everybody.
Good job. You do a better job at staying on track than I typically do. But before we get to Q&A, I just want to say a few words. First of all, thank you. Thank you for taking, I think, something that has been on a lot of people's minds and distilling it down to some very tangible takeaways, some very relevant points. And I think you have given everyone on the call a lot to think about. And we're going to share this, as I said, via recording. So I encourage those of you that attended today to share this with team members who couldn't be here, and we'll get it out in front of the rest of Second Wind. But I think agencies oftentimes fall into this trap of people pleasing. I think Gabby or Bridget, one or the other of you said that clients want direction, clients want leadership. And I 100% believe that clients want agencies to take them by the hand and lead them. And utilizing these tools that Bridget and Gabby just shared allows you to do that and position yourself in such a way as a thought leader. Yeah, AI is there for efficiency, AI is there to help us get things done, but can't replace what we can do best, and that is using, our experience, our knowledge, our intelligence. So, really, that's a long way to say thank you, and for bringing these points to the surface. And I'd like to make the most of the remaining time we have for comments and questions from the group. So, if you want to come on mic and ask your question that way, or do it in chat, either way is fine. So, let's open the floor.
Okay, it looks like we do have one in the chat from Kara. So she's asking, she'd love to know more about specific items, services, products, human touches that you see agencies are undercharging for.
That's a good one. I think there, in my experience, I'll go first, Bridget, if you
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
to go right after. So one of the things that I've seen us do as agencies, working in tons of agencies, is really a lot of onboarding to their other clients, and catching other people up to speed for free. So we know that there's turnover in general across the board, regardless of industry that you're in, especially right now. And I find that oftentimes we're spending a lot of time um, getting them up to speed. What was the research? Why we did what we did? Pulling all of that into a very short, even an hour long meeting, yes, maybe that gets built into something that you already have in scope, but that's time away from things that you've already scoped for. So it's just time unaccounted for. So, and remember, like, one of my famous last words, Bridget will tell you, is bill like a lawyer. I
Mm.
apologize to any lawyers that are on the call right now, but oftentimes we forget, like we make money from time. So bill like a lawyer, exactly. So if you spend 15, 20 minutes talking to your client, catching them up to speed, that's a half an hour of your time that could be billed and that you're probably taking out of another piece of scope. So that's something that just popped into my mind, Bridget. I'm hoping you have another thought in your mind as well.
You're hoping I have just one more thought.
Yes.
So it's funny, the email thing. I bounce around at a lot of places. I move really fast, and I will say I'm probably not billing for responding to emails. I probably need to start. Like I'm just very like, okay, I need to do the work. This is just part of the process. So, Gabby, I'm really glad you said that out loud for my sake. But as far as other examples, what I'm seeing more and more of is I feel like we're burying the strategy and all the work it takes to get to the point of the strategy being implemented. And I think that's because we're so focused on outputs, right? And deliverables that we're undercharging for the thinking that goes into that. That's just one example that I've seen lately. I feel like we're charging for the stuff and not the thinking to get you to the stuff, you know?
Vince, I see your question about dollar amount as far as AI. That's such a hard, thing to answer in a webinar type thing. I'd have to know a little bit more about, your client, what you're utilizing AI for. Are you building into the business from the ground up? Those types of questions, that I would probably ask you. So I don't have a favorite dollar amount as far as AI.
Yeah, and that probably makes sense when you're creating all kinds of work bespoke, and each estimate will require different amounts of elements and time.
Mhm.
Yep.
I see a question from Nate about node-based tools versus traditional prompt-based tools. Nate, to be completely honest, we haven't been, or at least I haven't been utilizing node-based tools more recently. I tend to favor prompt-based tools just in the work that I'm doing currently. But I do and can answer that, with other team members. So I can get back to you if you want to know more about that. Okay. Oh,
Yeah, one from Raquel as well.
yeah. Okay. So Kara's question is, I'm curious about how AI can continue to create an illusion of the ability to create and produce faster, both from an internal team, agency perspective, and clients. Okay. So I'll go first and then I'll pass it over to Bridget. But in my experience, agencies, big and small, have been utilizing AI to do menial tasks, junior level creative tasks a little bit faster, easier. We'll just continue on the banner ad because it's the easiest one and it's the one that most people do utilize AI for. Figma has a built-in, automation to help, and you can build AI built into Figma to help build and resize banner ads. That is something off the bat that it is true. You can create and produce a lot faster. It automatically resizes and develops banner ads in that with the help of a dev team, with the help of AI. Um, Now, as far as the illusion, yes. Are we creating ideas faster, proof of concepts faster, but we still have to find a photographer, find a videographer. All of those things still need to happen when you're thinking big concepting presentations. I'm in a concepting right now. It's a large pharma company launch product. Are we utilizing AI? Sure are. We're using Firefly for every single concept. But at the end of the day, we're still going to shoot it. There's legalities for a company that large to be able to produce just a solely AI thing. So even if we're getting it to the client faster, at the end of the day, we're kind of probably making up time in the production side. I hope that answers your question, but I'm going to pass it to Bridget in case she has other examples.
So I'm working somewhere right now that I can't say, and we we were asked we were we were given a project, and the the team lead's desire was that we used their internal AI to make the work go faster. And I think that was so that they would have more time on the back end to do the presentation and put it all into play and things like that. So the work that I submitted, it wasn't the work that I ran through AI though. So I don't know. Like I feel like I'm being asked to use an AI to make things go faster, but I'm finding that the ideas that come from my brain are still the ones that I like more and the ones that I want to put out into the world. So,
This is the last thing I'll say about this, Kara. Just as a reminder, AI can't do anything new. AI has to be taught how to do something and it has to come from a human. And this is actually something Bridget and I had toyed around with as a topic, um, as part of this presentation today, that at the end of the day, anything that we're getting out of ChatGPT, Firefly, whatever it is, it's coming back to us because somebody either already prompted it, had taught it how to do that, or it's somewhere on the web. So just as a like reminder, like anything brand new, not thought of before is going to come from a human.
okay, we have
Yes.
another one in here. What does the process look like as far as disclosing when you're using AI? Is that something you tell clients all the time? Do you tell them depending on the project? What would you recommend as a best practice? In my experience, I'm usually told what their policy is before I'm ever touching anything. Gabby, I don't know if you've experienced the same thing. So whether I'm going internal somewhere, usually they have their own tented, protected AI that they want me to use. I can't do it outside. And then with our independent stuff, the clients have actually come to us saying what their preferences. So that's been my experience, but be honest. That's the not like you we have to be honest because at the end of the day, you don't want some junior person accidentally uploading a brief right into like ChatGPT and then 6 months down the line, it's like, oh, all of our, proprietary information is now out on the internet. So the practice is to just be honest, and I would read the room with your client to decide how you kind of communicate that.
Yeah, and I think now's the perfect time. I mentioned brand planning's coming up. We're at June 30th. Brand planning is coming. Build it into your scope for next year. Have that conversation. Now's the time to have that conversation with your client. Let them know, hey, we'll be utilizing proprietary enterprise, AI to help you create things faster, easier, cheaper, whatever that is. But then also remind them of all the things that you're going to do with that time that you've saved, so that you're not losing scope. You're just putting it in a different place. So I think it's a matter of you reflecting on one, what's your risk, assessment of your agency, or whether you're an independent proprietor, a group, a full agency. And I think also just what your clients are comfortable with, because they might have their own policies already built in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll just say, to add to that, Raquel, as I've talked to agencies over the last 12 to 18 months, in the very beginning, nobody wanted to reveal that they were using AI because of the fear of how a client might react. And, we've really accelerated past that pretty quickly. Most agencies I talk to now are revealing to their clients or having that dialogue with their clients about what's appropriate internally, what they want us to do, what we can do, what we can't do. So I think Bridget said it best when she said, just be honest. I wouldn't use AI and not tell your clients that you're using it. So, I think that transparency is going to be key moving forward.
Agree. What are our favorite prompt resources that help us work with AI differently? I find my brain works better because I know the right direction to lead it, but I'm not very creative when it comes to prompt structure. One tip that I use, and this isn't necessarily a resource, but it's just a trick, I talk to it like I would a producer. So I think about, if I'm trying to get an image out of Firefly, I would think about how I would talk to a photographer about that image. I want the lighting to look like this, and start from, the lighting to which side of the image that we want to look at. What color should the sky be? Those are just things off the top of my head. But think about it in terms of who would be taking this image, or how we would, if it's Nano Banana, how would we talk to a producer about that video? All those types of things. That kind of helps me break things down and be really specific. So the ultimate goal, Sarah, is to be so specific that the prompt is super long almost, and that you get the most out of that prompt. Bridge, any tips for
Yeah, so
there?
something I do, like if I'm working on something and I'm like, oh, I want to change this up a little bit, I will ask ChatGPT or Claude or whatever. I'll be like, pretend you are Wyden Kennedy. What would you do here? Like, I'll take like, big agency names that kind of do things differently just as a way to get the AI thinking differently. Um, and what I find is that the AI knows, they know, okay, well, that's going to be very bold, right? And they're going to like take risks and, do things like that. And that'll help me generate more ideas. The other thing I like to do if I'm like just getting to like the end of my druthers about all of this, I will ask it, okay, just give me something completely different. Don't use any words, any ideas, any thoughts, anything that we've, discussed via this chat, just to see what it'll give me. And more oftentimes than not, there will at least be a little nugget, right? That I as a human can, shepherd forward into something bigger.
Yeah. So we have a
Neat.
couple minutes left. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Gabby, I didn't mean to interrupt. We'll
No,
answer
no.
Nate's, and then I guess we will end with Vince's potential can of worms. Anything
I'm
off
gonna
limits?
try,
But
Vince.
go ahead and address Nate's question,
Yeah.
and then we'll see what Vince had in mind with his, and we'll adjust
Yeah.
from there.
Okay, so Nate, absolutely. Clients are definitely asking us before we even have a chance to bring it up with them. But yes, we are bringing it up proactively. So this kind of goes back to our other question that was asked earlier. So absolutely. I tend to have a little more global clients as far as like clients all over the world. It differs every single country, EU versus US versus Canada. We've had a couple clients that even are now requesting that we disclose on the ads if we utilize AI. And I have to be honest with you, a lot of creative that we're seeing for giant companies, P&G, pharmaceuticals, at the end of the day, it's usually original art that has to go out to the world. It has to be licensed at some point. So as far as like resizes, that type of stuff, we don't necessarily need to disclose, in mouse print that it's used with AI. But if we do have something, we tend to have to disclose on the bottom of ads.
Mhm. It's going to be interesting to watch that all evolve.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
So,
right.
yes, anything
Yeah.
off limits, ladies. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, I can think of a couple things which we won't discuss here, but Bridget, Gabby, anything
Yeah.
you can think about?
So I'm running into something right now where the particular company that I'm contracted at, we can't use AI to create faces. We can use it for a lot of other things, but we cannot use it to make people. So that is something that is off limits for that particular company. I think, is anything off limits? I guess the answer is kind of no. But again, it was just actually, this is a great question to end on. You have the judgment. We have the judgment, right? To decide when we should be using it, how we should be using it, and the way that it comes to life. So I think that's my POV. Ask me again in 6 months, because I think things are just gonna keep rolling.
Amazing.
But yeah, I don't know, Gab, if you have anything else you want to add there.
We had a client once that didn't really want us to use children in AI images. It was a baby formula company, so you know, uh, from anything, I don't know. I don't know if there's really any guidance on as far as that. I think it could go based off of your client. It could go based off of your own ethics and your own morals. So, and to Bridget's point, things are changing so fast that it's kind of hard to answer.
Yeah. Yes, and just a side note, I've not experienced this, but I believe there are some AI engines that if you do enter a prompt that is considered inappropriate, it will not generate output for you. So I think there are going to be some controls as well, probably moving forward. So we may not have to choose, but following your own ethics, following what the client says, I think makes most sense at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Just
yes,
before we sign off, we do just
yeah,
want to let everyone know that the real work starts after that you guys close your laptops. I know we're rolling into a holiday week, so please, don't feel pressured or anything like that. But, if you ever are looking to redesign your services, offer different things, do strategic workshops, we're here. And because you guys have attended, you do have, an exclusive offer with future engagements with us. So please get in touch if you want to get in touch with us, work with us. And then finally, just a last little plug, if you could fill out our survey and tell us what you think using the QR code, that would be great. It gives us great feedback and helps us, build future webinars for later this year.
yes, yes, please do that for them. This is the first time they've presented in front of a Second Wind audience, so I know they would appreciate that feedback. I know how I'm going to rate it. Very pleased today with the content. I think really just some very valuable, points and just tools that you've given everyone today. So there was a question in chat. I'm going to share contact information
Okay,
for
great.
both Bridget and Gabby, along with a link to the recording. So anyone, you can reach out to them directly to ask a question or start a conversation or retain them, to work with your agency. But I look forward to hosting them again in the future. We're going to continue to do these and hope that you guys, will attend again. So again, thank you to both of you. Thanks for everyone that was here today. Great job. Really appreciate it. And we'll be in touch, this week with the recording and their contact information.
Awesome. And yes, we are sharing the deck. So I think there was a question about the
Yes,
deck coming
yes,
out.
We'll share that.
yes,
Sounds
that
good.
will be part of the package that we send out to you.
It was great to meet everyone. Have a
Yeah,
great
thank
week
you so
and happy
much.
Yep,
holidays.
thank you. Thank you
all.
Thank
all.
you.
Bye, everyone.